Hello everyone, welcome to the Feathers Creations. Um, on this YouTube channel, I teach how to draft, I teach how to cut, I teach how to sew. With time, we'll talk about other things related to fashion other than drafting, cutting, or sewing. Please, if this is your first time of coming across my channel, please click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bell as well so that you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. And to my subscribers, I say thank you. I love you guys. You are the best. And please like, share, and comment on my videos as well. Thank you for doing that. Now, today's video, I'll show us how to draft and cut out a dress, a gathered dress for a 4-year-old. The dress was going to have gathered at the waist. So that's why I said gathered skirt. The skirt will be gathered at the waist and attached to the bodice. That is the shoulder to the waistline. Now, it's going to be a sleeveless gown, and I'm using leftover fabric, actually. Leftover fabric, that's the beauty of making clothes for kids. You can always do lots. You can do lots with little less fabric for them. So the measurements involved are that of the shoulder, the chest, the waist, the half length, the length of the gown, and the round armhole. The shoulder here is 9.5, the chest is 22, the waist is 20, and the length of the gown is 28. Now, to get the length of the bodice, that is the shoulder to the waistline, I would have to subtract the half length, which is 10, from the length of the gown, that is 28 minus 10 would have 18 inches. Now, that 10 inches for the bodice, you would still need to add 1 inch to it for joining the skirt. You attach the skirt to the bodice and you attach the front shoulder to the back shoulder. So that is why you need that volume. You add 1 to it. Now look at this fabric. I folded it in two, and it's going to cater for the front and back as well. So let's start with the front piece. Ascertain whether your folded fabric would be enough. How do you do that? Take the highest measurement. Highest circumference in this case is that of the chest. Our chest is 22 inches. Our chest line is 22 inches. I'm going to add 1 to it, and that will become 23 inches. You divide that 23 inches by 4, and that is because this folded part is for the front. The other folded part would cater for the back. Now, what do I have? 23 inches divided by 2, you have 11.5. Go ahead to divide your 11.5 by 2. You have 5 3/4. Don't forget that you need 1 inch seam allowance for the sides. So you don't need 5 3/4, you need 6 3/4. Do I have enough fabric? I have more than enough. So before you even bother measuring, ensure you have enough fabric to cater for whatever you are about to measure out. Now, this is my net, this is my suit lining, and this is the remaining fabric for the skirt. Now, without further ado, let's manage our fabric. That's essential in sewing. Fabric management, look at it. We need 6 3/4 for the chest, if I'm not mistaken. Now, iron it out. Smoothing it, that's what I'm doing with my iron. Smoothing it out. I don't want to waste the fabric. Now you can see I've done that. Now this is the fabric unfold. As you can see, the edges are not so equal. They are not equal. You can see the edges are not equal. So all I'll do is to mark this line here. Look at it. Now, I've marked this line. Then I'll go ahead to input my values. I'm cutting directly on fabric. So I'm going to add the seam for shoulder and the waist attachment. The length, the half length here is 10. I'm going to add 1 inch to it, and that would make it 11 inches. So I'll mark 11 inches. I'll connect together. This is 11 inches. Now I'll go ahead to mark the shoulder. The shoulder itself is 9.5. If you divide 9.5 by 2, you would have 9 3/4. So this is 9 3/4. Now I want a neck width to be 2 3/4. 2 3/4. I'm going to drop this shoulder by half of an inch. By half of an inch, and I'll connect to that neck width point. I can also decide to hold on and attach the back to the front before cutting out my shoulder line. Okay, so let me do it this way. The half inch I marked here would be added to my armhole measurement so that I can place the back on the front and cut both out at the same time. My round armhole is 9 inches. I'm going to add half an inch for seam allowance, and this half an inch here I'll add to it as well. So I'm going to mark, instead of 4.5, I'll go ahead to mark 5.5. Can you see? This is 5.5. By the time we cut this out, we'd have that 5 inches left. Now the 4 3/4 here, make sure you input it here as well. So look at it. Put your fabric in place with pins, affix pins. Yes, so that way it will stay in place. So this is it. So this is the front piece. Go ahead now to input your measurements. The measurement for the chest is 22. I'm going to add 1 to it. It becomes 23 inches. You divide 23 inches by 4 because I folded this front in 2 and you still have the back piece to work on. So 11.5 divided by 2. You have 5 3/4. I'm trying to make this tutorial easy for beginners. Come to the waist. Divide your waist measurement by 4. Don't forget, I have 20 here. I'm going to add 1 to it. It will become 21. 21 divided by 4 should be 5 1/4. Come here, mark 5 1/4. Now, there's something called seam allowance. You're going to join this front piece to the back piece. It's for a child. Add 1 inch seam allowance. Connect both together. Can you see? Now, all you need to do is cut it out. Please don't forget that before cutting out, you have to be sure of your measurements. Please, don't just cut your fabric. Measure accurately before you cut out on fabric. So, this is it. Now, at the armhole, all you need to do is to mark the armhole. You see? Just curve it slightly. It's going to be a sleeveless gown. So this is the front piece. Look at what I'm doing. I'm just coming in slightly. Look at it. Now, this is it. Now, I'll keep this piece aside. Note that I have not cut out my shoulder, but I'll rather straighten this neckline. I've not cut out my shoulder, but I'm straightening the neckline. Now to the back piece. For my back piece, I'm going to add 1 1/4 for zip allowance. It's going to have a zip. So before you measure, before you cut rather, and before you measure and cut, ensure you have more than enough fabric. And I do have enough fabric here. So iron it out as well. Iron smoothly. Iron smoothly, please. Now, the 1 1/4 you intend to use for your zip, you can as well fold it in this way. Fold the 1 1/4 inch this way and use your iron to smoothen it out. It will stay in place with your iron to stay in place. Now this is 1 1/4. I'm making it very easy for a beginner to understand. That's why I am going through the whole process of the entire process of ironing, and that way you understand how to go about it. So this is the back piece. Now you can simply smoothen it out. Make sure it's straight. Take your front piece, place it on it this way. Place it on it. Use your iron, smoothen it as well. Now, you can attach both together. Attach both together. Attach both together, like I'm doing. So, look at it. The back and the front piece are together. Iron put in place by ironing, and come to the armhole here. I eat into the front armhole slightly. Don't do that for the back. Just straighten your armhole, straighten it this way. You see? That is just it. So it's as simple as this. Smoothen it, smoothen the curve. Now, all you need to do is to cut this out, mark your neckline. In this case, the front neckline is going to be deeper than the back. So that's another thing. But let's cut it out first. Iron. Don't get tired of ironing. It makes your work easier and perfects your job at the end of the day. Please, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click on the notification bell. Share my videos. Comment on my videos. Ask questions. Like. And your subscription is of utmost importance to me. So please do subscribe. Now look at it. Look at it. So this is it. This is the front and that is the back. Now let's cut our shoulder line. This is 2 3/4 for the neck width. 2 3/4. That's the neck width. 2 3/4. The neck width depends on you, but you don't want to make it too tiny. So come here, cut the slant. Make it neat here. Go ahead to mark your necklines. You can do that separately. This is the one for the front, and that's the one for the back. Now, apart from the neckline, there's something I like doing for the back. The back half length is not as long as that of the front for fitting purposes. So here, I'm going to go inwards, as in upwards, by 1/2 of an inch. And I'll go upwards here by 1/4 of an inch. That's going to be like a slant. Look at it. And I'll just simply cut. Look at it. Come to the front. Do the 1/4 of an inch at the sides. The 1/4 of an inch, please. Here, measure 1/4 of an inch. Then find a way off. You don't have to get to the center, just stop here. Stop here. So, smoothing it, you can see, that's all. You have them equal at the sides, that way. The front and the back would be equal at the sides. So, go ahead to cut out the neckline like I said. For the back, because I've included my shoulder, all I need is, I've included the seam for the shoulder. Don't forget that. I'll use 2 here. Please make sure. Okay. So, sorry about that. Now, look at it. Just connect this way. Come here. Cut it out. The neck depth depends on the style, mind you. So, that's for the back. And this is for the front. My 2 3/4. Measure twice. Cut once. It works. I'm going to use 3 here. Two 3/4 by 3. 3, 3, 3, 3. Don't mind my curve. Just smoothing it out some way. And look at it. Yours can be deeper than this. There's no big deal about that. Just mind the fact that kids shouldn't have gaping necklines. See what I'm doing? I've gone a bit deeper, a bit lower than the actual measurement I took. So just take note of the fact that they shouldn't have very deep gaping necklines. So that's all about the upper part. You can cut out your lining piece exactly the way you cut out your the fabric. So for the skirt, I have a length of 28 inches. I took 10 for the bodice. I have 18 left for the skirt. Now, the waist, the actual waist is 20. I used 21. When making gathers, when making a gathered skirt, I like using 3 times the waist measurement. What it means is that if I used 21 for our waist, I should use 63 for our for the skirt, for the gathered skirt. I've included the zip allowance in that 63. That means I'm taking 3 times our waist value. So the length, the actual length is 18. You have to add seam allowance at the waist and for finishing of the skirt. The waist seam allowance is half. It depends on the one for the hem of the skirt depends on you. It depends on what you want to do. So, like I said, I need a length of 63 inches. 21 times 3, 63 inches. I want to measure it. So, look at it. So I have more than 63 inches here, because look at it. Wow, I have 69 inches. So all I'll do is cut out 6 inches here. Now, I can fold it this way, put it here, see, iron it, and mark the 6 inches you want to cut out. The 6 inches. This is 6 inches. Can you see? Just and cut it out. So this is the length of the skirt. To complete the gown. I have 20 inches here, and the actual length needed is 18 inches. So this is also okay. Now I'll put this aside as well. Now for the lining, I like using at least 2 times the width of, or 2 times the size of the waist circumference used. It's a gathered skirt. The lining should not be as full as the fabric. It shouldn't be as full as the fabric. So let's just take 2 times the lining. 2 times the value of the waist. The value of the waist here is 21 times 2, 42. So we are going to measure lining 42 inches. And the length of the lining shouldn't be as long as the length of the skirt. It should be at least, in this case, I want it to be 2 inches lower than the skirt length. 2 inches shorter rather than the skirt length. Don't forget that you still need half an inch for joining your lining to the lining of the upper of the bodice. So if I were to take 16 inches, which is 2 inches shorter than the length of the skirt, I would just add half of an inch to the lining for joining at the sleeve, and half of an inch for finishing the lining itself. So this is what it looks like, and I'll go ahead to cut my lining. You can see cut this way, although professionals do this and it's a bit tricky, but it works for me if the quality of the lining is okay. Can you see? I cut it out. The quality of the lining is okay, so I can at least, but it's a tricky process and not advisable for beginners. So all I need to do is measure the 42 inches for the lining on the 42 inches rather for the skirt lining as well. So don't let me waste our time. Let me keep that aside. We are almost through with the video. Now this is the net to give volume to the fabric. The net would be attached, it will be in between the fabric and the lining piece. And this time around, it's not going to be at the waist. It's going to be somewhere below the zip line, and it will not even be as long as the lining piece itself. So I could just go ahead to cut, let's see, the lining is 16 inches plus seam allowance, I cut 17 inches. Okay, I would go ahead to just cut maybe 8 inches of this, 8 or 10 inches. All I'm particular about is that it must not get to the edge of the lining, because it will irritate the skin. You understand? It will irritate the skin. So when you are fixing it, find a way of tucking it in between. You can also use 2 layers of it, or you can reduce the length. You can use 2 layers, or you can reduce the length. So this is it. is it. You can see. Now, the width of my net, I want my net to be a bit longer than my lining. I'll fold it in pleats. I'll fold it in pleats, a little tiny pleats on the lining piece, so that it would give it bounce. It's not going to be the same length as the lining. It's going to be longer than the lining. So now let's measure this out. This is on fold. Let me see what each piece would give us. Okay. All right. So by the time we open this up, we would have 52 inches. And the lining itself is 42 inches. So 26 plus 22 here is 52 inches. That means it is going to be longer than the lining piece. And that is what I want. So, okay. Let's go ahead. Rather than use 10 for the length, let's use 8 for the length of the... Let me cut this out. So, we are getting close to the end of our tutorial. So, all you need to do is fold this in two. Don't make a mistake, please. Fold into this way. Fold into this way. Iron here. Iron. And from this edge to this edge, measure 8 inches. The net would be added to the lining. You place it on top of your lining, and it will be between your lining and fabric, and it's going to be somewhere below the zip line. You understand? It's going to be below the zip. It won't get to the edge of the lining, but it would be okay. So if this tutorial has been of good help to you, if it has impacted on you, please like my video and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to click on the notification bell for further video notifications. Once again, this is the Feathers Creations on YouTube. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for clicking on the notification bell. Bye.